Everyone thinks prehistoric life was a primitive, lawless free-for-all. You've probably spent your whole life picturing the classic stereotype, a brutal caveman, using brute force to take whatever he wanted, a life of pure luxury and zero consequences for the strongest guy in the tribe. But that entire image is a complete lie. Recent genetic breakthroughs have uncovered a reality that completely shatters what you walk in believing. Having multiple partners wasn't a reward, it wasn't a luxury. It was a desperate, terrifying biological response to a massive genetic slaughterhouse that almost wiped humanity off the face of the earth. Our ancestors were literally staring into the abyss of total extinction, and this specific behavior was the only thing that saved them. Here is the raw, unvarnished truth of how we actually survived. Let's look at the absolute facts. People assume ancient reproduction was a balanced game. One man, one woman, building a lineage together. But the deep layer of our DNA tells a completely different, darker story. When scientists mapped the genetic code of ancient human populations, they hit a massive anomaly. During the transition to early hunter-gatherer societies, the numbers collapsed. The data proved something highly disturbing. For every 17 women who successfully passed on their genes, only one single man managed to do the same. Think about that ratio, 17 to 1. This means the vast majority of prehistoric men were entirely erased. They hunted, they fought, they survived the elements, but their lineage died exactly when they did. Humanity's gene pool wasn't just shrinking, it was actively bleeding out. In a world full of apex predators and sudden climate shifts, standard pairings were mathematically useless. If a tribe stayed split up into simple couples, a single bad winter would wipe them out entirely. To fight back against total extinction, clans had to make a radical biological pivot. They consolidated their entire reproductive future around a tiny fraction of males. Only the men who proved they could survive the absolute worst conditions were chosen to pass on life. It wasn't a choice made out of desire, it was a panic move to flood the next generation with the strongest genetics possible before the clock ran out. To understand why this worked, you have to understand the foundational law of biology. The cost of life. In nature, the sex that invests the most energy automatically becomes the most valuable resource. The sex that invests less has to fight like hell just to get near it. And the math for ancient women was incredibly heavy. A female had a strictly limited number of chances to bring life into the world. She faced a grueling, exhausting 9-month pregnancy. After birth, she faced years of highly dangerous childcare in a world trying to kill her. A woman's reproductive potential was the ultimate bottleneck for the tribe's survival. She could physically only produce a handful of offspring in her entire lifetime. Now look at the male side. A man's minimum biological investment is a matter of minutes. While a woman could only have one child a year, a single capable male could theoretically father dozens of children at the exact same time, across multiple partners. If a tribe's population dropped too low, they became instant targets for rival clans. Numbers meant safety. Numbers meant power. By having one highly resilient male mate with multiple females, the tribe maximized its growth speed. Every single female was actively bringing new numbers to the clan while minimizing the risk of passing down weak or sickly traits. When ancient groups went to war, they weren't fighting over land, gold, or pride. They raided neighboring valleys to capture reproductive capacity. It was a zero-sum game, where losing meant your entire tribe disappeared forever. We have to strip away our modern concepts of romance and look at our ancestors for what they truly were: primates. For 99.9% of human history, our social structures followed the exact same unyielding rules as the rest of the animal kingdom. Think about a massive red deer stag locking horns in a bloody fight over a harem. Think about a dominant silverback gorilla physically throwing rivals out of his territory. That aggression isn't random violence. It's a highly evolved, living billboard of genetic quality. For prehistoric humans, the tournament was identical. Clans were tiny, isolated bands of hunter-gatherers, usually containing just 20 to 50 people. Inside those small groups, a male who could out-hunt, out-fight, and outwit everyone else was sending a clear signal. He was proving he possessed the bone density, the immune system, and the raw tactical intelligence needed to keep offspring alive. Our ancestors weren't thinking about evolutionary science, but their brains were hardwired to seek out the ultimate winner. Winning the tournament meant securing exclusive access to multiple partners, ensuring those elite survival traits flooded the tribe's future. Losing meant immediate genetic death. Long before we invented laws, marriage, or social contracts, multiple mating was the raw mechanism of an uncompromising evolutionary filter. When you look past the myths, the reality becomes undeniable. Multiple mating by ancient men had absolutely nothing to do with luxury or power trips. It was a brutal, animalistic necessity, born from a terrifying 17-to-1 genetic bottleneck and the massive biological cost of creating human life. The cold truth of our evolution will always beat the comfortable fairy tales we tell ourselves. Drop a comment below and let me know how this changes your perspective on human history. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss our next deep dive into the hidden mechanics of survival. See you on the next one. Peace!